Good afternoon. So I have a short video to show, and they'll tee it up here. But I thank you for inviting me. And I'm no John Chambers, so I'll try to be as inspiring and informative as possible. But he is absolutely amazing. So are you ready? Excellent. All right, so there's some amazing statistics that you just read in there, and it just goes to show how much our world is changing at hyper speed. And Mary, you mentioned several things in there that really resonated with me that you're facing as you educate the young up-and-comers. So in my 17 years at Cisco, I started when there were 5,000 employees. We have over 70,000 employees today, and we're in we've taken many different market transitions. Connectivity is the way of the future. Everything is about connectivity. It is about connecting every device that you can possibly imagine to the internet and the value that we can extract from that data and the new things that are going to evolve, the new processes that will evolve, the new products that will evolve from that are somewhat unimaginable. We talk about the Star Trek days. There is so much that's going to happen in the next 5 years and 10 years that we don't even know today is going to exist. We talk about connectivity and the internet as almost being our fourth utility. It is something that we have to have every day. It is how we are productive. We at Cisco, when we look at these different statistics, and let's see if I can advance here. So if we look at the different statistics, 10 billion devices is what we say is connected today, more than people are on the planet. 99.4% of the connectable devices are not connected today. Things that we wouldn't think you normally would connect. Those are things like trees or cars that are going to be connected and are connected today to soil, and having soil be connected to have smarter farming. There's just an amazing opportunity. And when we connect those, we anticipate that we will have over 50 billion devices connected by the year 2020. That's an amazing, amazing statistic. 40 million gigabytes is going to be added from a data perspective by having the internet-connected cars that are going to be happening in the next 10 years. And 5.32 years, that is the number of years that it takes for the internet to double in size. Massive, massive statistics. So what does this all mean? And we're here at a women's conference talking about, technology statistics. What's the connection? Well, the connection is that all of this technology, You know, the internet over the last 25 years that we've experienced it has transformed our lives in so many incredible ways, and will do so in the space of the fact that we're global. Innovation is changing, and how we innovate is changing. We are hyper-connected, as I just mentioned, and the talent is changing. Now what I love about it is you can hear stories of a 12-year-old that's learned how to develop an app that's now up tomorrow and producing revenue. You hear stories of, you know, the boomers that are moving in that are now educated in technology, and what are the amazing things that they're going to be doing and creating that's going to create new opportunity. The talent is a very big challenge for all of us, because we now have multiple generations in the workforce, and we also have an environment where we can't meet the needs that we have today. We can't. And so it's so important for us to not only help women develop, but to get everyone, boys and girls, interested in technology so that we can capitalize on what's coming ahead of us. We've talked a lot about women's statistics today, so I'm not going to spend a tremendous amount of time on this, but I do believe when you look at the numbers, the ones that resonate most with me are those numbers where we can say, what is the business impact and the business benefit by having an inclusive and a collaborative environment? That's the key. It's not quotas in some cases, and it was discussed earlier, are important to kickstart, and where there's measurement, there's focus, and we get results when we measure. But the more that we can help our business leaders see the business impact, the business benefit of having a collaborative work environment, that's when we start getting real buy-in, and that's when we start seeing it move. When we can equate it to, 6 times of improvement, in revenues. When you take a look at the companies that have women leaders at the top, and their revenues and their returns are, it's amazing statistics, and those are the things that we want to make sure that we continue to share with folks. So let me talk a little bit about this idea of untapped resources, right? So we all have resources in our organizations. It could be our infrastructure, it could be any investments we make, and it's our talent. And today we're really talking about talent. So what I'd like us to think about is, what are we doing specifically throughout the entire spectrum of the pipeline, not just those that are employees today. And that's where we talk a lot about STEM. What are we doing on the front end of kids that are literally 2, 3, 4, and 5 years old, who have their iPads in front of them and know how to flip through the apps faster than we do. That's the start of it. It's about embracing it. It's about when our daughters, I have 3 boys, but it's when our daughters are, having an opportunity to do these STEM classes or do mathematics. It's about really encouraging them about the impact and the importance of this. Really important. My son went to an apps development course at Princeton University this summer. He's 10 years old, and half of the class was girls. And I loved it. I loved it. And you know what they were doing? It was great watching the games that they were developing. Boys, there were war games, and there were race cars, and the girls were doing something completely different, but they were engaged, right? They were engaged, and it was the concept about coding and developing. I loved it. So we need to embrace that entire talent within our organizations, and making sure that we are building that pipeline, but that we have the tools in place to retain them. And that's what we're trying to do at Cisco. We are still very male-dominated. We are making huge improvements, massive improvements year over year. We're seeing women getting patents. We're seeing women increase in engineering in all functions of the organization. And we have some really good programs that we're embracing to make sure that that continues. Some examples of those programs that we see as we need to get women from the middle management and upper management, which is really where the numbers get low, is around things like, we talk about the mentoring programs, which are very important. Mentoring is. What we're finding is what's even more important is that sponsorship. And there's a lot of discussion about it today, but truly to get to that senior level, having a very solid sponsorship program where you have your high potential women leaders paired up with other, in many cases male executives, but sometimes female, that are specifically advocating for that person, we get greater results than we do in just a typical mentoring engagement. And I think that is not just at the top level, but it's throughout the organization, right? We need to have our new up-and-coming engineers that are coming into the field not be thrown into the deep end of the pool and say, go learn to swim. We've got to help enable them. Otherwise, we can't retain them, right? We can't retain them, and then we start seeing the negative effect. So there's so much going on there. From a STEM perspective, Cisco is embracing STEM in a wonderful way. We do STEM initiatives on our campuses where we give people an opportunity, we bring students in and we give them an opportunity to meet with our engineers and vice versa. We're doing some global initiatives now around the world where we're going to be expanding our footprint. We've got a couple of folks at our table here that have had an opportunity to partner with Cisco, and hopefully we can talk about those in your sessions. So if we want to talk more, I also have one of my counterparts, Aisham, is here. Aisham, I think, is a great story. She works for me. She has an engineering degree. She's from Turkey, speaks a couple languages. I can't keep up with this woman. And she is now leading my market intelligence organization and insights and analytics. It's a great example of where you said engineers may be the next path into leadership. And I think that's a great example of where we're seeing that ourselves. And the last thought I'll leave with you is that we probably all spend a lot of time in conferences like this. This one's been very special. I've met some amazing people today. What we need to do is make sure that this message, you said preaching to the choir, that we're not just preaching to the choir, and that this message is getting out to the male leaders in our organizations, and this is getting out to the lines of business. What's the business benefit and impact in having not just inclusion and diversity, but as like we like to say it, it's inclusion and collaboration. It's the collaboration that brings great thought leadership, diverse thought leadership to the table, and that's what we're striving for. And the way you get that is by having diversity of all kinds at the table. So please make sure we're encouraging this with our male leaders that can really help us move this forward. And if you have any questions about Cisco or what we're doing, please reach out. Thanks for the time today.